Hello, hello. I'm in the garden, and above me are the hummingbirds. And they are humming just like a helicopter. And it is lovely. I just absolutely love it. And I have my flying spaghetti monster hanging around my neck. It is one of the gods, one of the internet gods, the flying spaghetti monster. So, so I want to continue talking about something that I talked about yesterday, which I wasn't really finished with yesterday. So I was getting into the subject of what I think, what my faint idea is about why adult straight men or adult gay men, either one, why they have fantasies, fetish fantasies, sexual fantasies about underaged, pre-teen children. So what causes this? It's been an enigma. It has been a riddle for me, my whole life. And I just, as with so many things, with severe neurosis in humans. So I got into the case of Chris Watts and his family dynamic and so on. And I'm just speculating, but I am speculating. I can't give a diagnosis. I'm not allowed to. That would also be slanderous if I did. People slander all the time. They don't get in trouble. But if someone decent makes an assumption, oh boy, they better watch out. So again, it's a testimonial of how neurotic humanity is in general. The majority of people that are basically having the leverage on the law also. That's why the law is so twisted and so unfair also, with the copyright infringement laws, all of this. But anyway, and also the medical industry, that has completely infiltrated into our civil rights. So it's all wrong, completely wrong. It's a wrong legal system. So, but anyway, I got into speculating, that's the only word I'm allowed to use, speculating on the dynamic, Scott Peterson family dynamic, Chris Watts family dynamic, and so many others that are obscured from the public, that equally bad, many probably don't get caught, and so horrible, horrific, then there's corruption, and there are people of leverage that will never get caught because they have so much financial leverage, and they bribe everyone. And as Rockefeller said, every man has his price. The statement's almost true, because not just in regards to men, most women also have their price on things, their price tag on things, and they'll do things for money, and they don't seem to have any conscience or compassion at all. They're completely disconnected as well. So, of course. And they're psychopathic women, of course, But the rate of this is much higher in men, much higher. And that's also a thing for me to speculate on why that is. And I think because men are standing under so much more social pressure, or that is how they think. They think they stand under social pressure. It's just in their heads. It really, they don't need to be standing under social pressure. if they just realize that they can dissolve their egos, and then they don't need to feel any of these things anymore, of like the need to succeed, the need to be grand, the need to be strong, and so on and on and on and on and on. Or, the need to have a woman, the need to make babies. All of this is ego based. And so that can be dissolved, all of this, and this need to always be right and have the last word, and it goes on and on and on. This in tremendous pressure that they put themselves under because of childhood pain and parents and daddy putting enormous pressure on their sons, and then the sons never question. They never question the hands that beat them. So all of this is the reason. This is all the root of all of this enormous escalation of insanity and neurosis. So in these family dynamics, or in any kind, in almost every household in around the whole world of humans, the 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 women, now I'm talking just about the straight people. Gay people have this similar dynamic, of course, but I'm talking about straight people right now, as in Chris Watts and Scott Peterson, for example. So and that's the majority, of course, in the world at this point. And it's neither bad or good. So I'm just addressing this particular demographic right now with what I'm trying to explain. So the women have become also very neurotic, and they no longer are real. They also don't allow themselves to be children. They, like I said yesterday, they can't even put a scratch on a canvas because they're so terrified that it might be wrong. It doesn't matter how you paint. You can paint with cotton swabs, as I do, and you can just put a stick figure on it. And it doesn't matter if you like that stick figure, but you put the stick figure on because you feel awkward. That's why. I made my husband paint something once, and in men it's much, much worse. This whole thing is like escalated. So my husband is a perfect example for this also. So paint something. I can't paint. I said, I just want you to paint something. And then you put a stick figure on there, little scratchy little stick figure. And then he feels real bad about it. But that's because he has locked himself up from that inner child, from that endless possibility. Of course, we also come into the world with different abilities and so on, and different affinities and different likes, and of course, our brains are very different. But this fact that a person cannot even paint a flower or something, however naive this is being painted and not photorealistically, it doesn't matter. They cannot even do this. They cannot even just go with this flow. Everyone can paint. Everyone. For example, the wife of Diego Rivera. What's her name? Frida Kahlo. Okay. Mexican artists. Okay. She started out just painting, not good or bad, or not photorealistically, not like society will probably expect her to. No, she likes to paint. She just likes the color expression and the shape. That's what mattered. She so her husband was more famous than her, and he was also much more detailed. Oh, it doesn't matter. She wanted to express also. And she is showing the world that everyone can paint a butterfly. Every child can paint it. If a child hasn't been conditioned yet, or being completely stomped on by society, or put into, brainwashed and made to think that you have to be perfect or you can't do anything. Either has to be like perfectionist. And what does this mean, perfectionist? What is perfect? That's also in the eye of the beholder, right? As they always say. In the holder's eye, in the one who is looking at it, from his personal brainwashed perspective. Okay, so everyone can paint if you just if you dissolve that ego, if you dissolve the blockage, that society put you into. Of course you can paint. Maybe you can't paint photorealistically, but that doesn't matter. You can still put color onto a canvas. You can dip a roller into a paint retainer, and you can blot that onto the wall. Everyone can do it. And you do this with different colors, and then you start to just get into the flow, and suddenly you got something on there, even if it's just a blob of different colors. Okay, that's art. Art is just being in the flow of things. But these women, most women, they can't do this anymore. They live in this world of, I need to be Disney accurate. Like, some people don't even like Disney. Some people don't. Some people find this so fake and plastic and so cold also, and so tacky. Oh, tacky. Yes. But they live in this Disney type of, oh, they're Barbie and Ken, and let's everything have plastic, like plastic launch chairs with Barbie on it. And they have been so brainwashed into this world where and also they're so mean to other women, and they're so catty, and they're so fake, and they're so disconnected from themselves. That's self-abuse to their own brains. They're disconnected from real love. They can't even love their own children. It's like everything is just, oh, Barbie, my child is Barbie. Then they dress them up, they make them into child princess, tiara, uh, baby doll, and that's all. That is right there. That's one of the root causes for pedophilia, right there. The women making their girls into porn star, like kind of like porn star models or something, with all of this Disney jewelry and this seductive clothing. I remember when I was a child, that was very, very bad. And I know I don't have any memory, but I have horrible nightmares of bathrooms. So obviously something happened. But it must have been a long time ago. I must have been a very small child. And I know my mother already, when I was very little, she dressed me up with mini skirt and out of just ignorance, total ignorance, never putting her mind into the consequences of things or never understanding psychology or the male biology, never understanding any of this. So, but at that time, pedophilia was not, had not been so widely developed into, had not been escalated to this point. So this has gotten much, much, much worse. And I can clearly see so that this dressing up the kids, that's a huge, that has hugely moved this, for even moved us up on and and widened this neurosis much, much, much more. And they do it because they use their kids are not, they don't see their kids as individuals. They see their kids as, like Teal Swan said, they see their kids as extensions of themselves. So their kids are like it's like my child, my doll, my baby doll. It's not for the child, it's for their egos. It's like my jewelry, my baby doll, me, my doll is the winner. Okay, that's all it is. It's like me, myself, and I on Facebook with millions of selfies of like me, jewelry, Disney, we are winner, and then these other people that find that great and that are jealous of them because then other people may not be re- they don't regard themselves as pretty according to this particular social prettiness standard. Okay, there are different standards also, by the way, in the world of what is regarded as pretty and why is it regarded as pretty or desirable and so on, or eye candy or whatever. So yeah, and then these other people that fall a bit out of this prettiness standard, then they will suffer or they even commit suicide out of the jealousy. So that's that epidemic that of jealousy that's going on in the world. And they themselves don't even understand that this Disney lady is just carrying an enormous burden that is so heavy that she has to run fast in order to get it over with. She's not living in the now. She's not. There's nothing to be jealous about. So it's a lot. It was a humongous shock for all of these followers of that lady on Facebook. This self-made selfie lady, and everyone was jealous. And suddenly they see, oops, her husband murdered her and her children. So I guess their lives weren't so fantastic after all. So it's a big wake-up call, for all of us. And also to base your partner search just on this superficial Barbie and Ken type of standard. And like everything else is everything else falls under the radar. Like the character, like whether he actually has compassion, that falls under the radar. It's not even looked at. It's just the only thing that people are obsessed with is whether someone fits the beauty standards that society sets out for us. It's like it's like a template that everyone's supposed to be stamped into, and if you dare to leap out of that, you'll be a controversy. I am happy to be a controversy anytime. Trust me on that one. Why, I'm so glad I can be myself. Oh, what a present. That's a present from the infinite cosmos, that I can be myself, and that I can be okay with the hate and the slander that comes against me, and this enormous gossiping that people do when I go into a chat room. It's enormous how people immediately, when someone is different, they immediately focus on that person, and it's really interesting to see how this is how this psychological dynamic unfolds in people. This obsessing about someone who's different. It's what a fascist mindset that is. That is what fascism is. It's not just bound to Adolf Hitler. Fascism is a very global terminology, and it means that you are holding on to a specific fashion, a specific fashion is fascist, to a specific beauty ideal, to a specific lifestyle idea, to a specific belief system ideal, and then everyone who leaps out of this is immediately shunned and expelled from society. That's fascism. So these people, they have become so fearful, men in particular, but women too. And so the men, then they don't have any connection to their wives. If the wife was real, they would probably not even have found that wife, right? So, but if the wife was more real, if the wife had also something real to offer, like if the wife had some genuinity, some real love to offer, if there was real love and concern, I doubt that even a psychopath would then take a knife and cut that woman up and bury her or put her in the trash can or something. I doubt that would happen. If the woman offers genuine love, if she's able to do this, I doubt the psychopath will then still feel that disconnected from her. So there's gonna be, I'm not blaming anyone, okay? Again, I don't want this to be misunderstood. This is a horrible tragedy, all of these cases. But there but it's also a two-way tango. Again, I'm not blaming with the women. They're just being neurotic. They're not a perpetrator. The man is the perpetrator in those cases. Very rarely is it a woman. Very rarely is a woman a perpetrator. So these women are disconnected. They don't offer genuine love. The man sees her only as a trophy. Yeah. Not even, there isn't even a genuine lust involved. Not even this. And people, they have, lust in general, that concept, that biological need, for sex has been so battered and slandered by society and religions that that in itself, you see how convoluted everything is? And so people, they can't even think out of the margins of this anymore. They cannot even think out of this convolutedness that society preaches to us. They grow up in this football stadium of convoluted chaos, and they think this is the world. They think this is the truth. This is moral. This is the standard. This is, they cannot, because they don't even question it. My face is getting red. I don't know why. The light is, sunlight is obscured right now. So then they don't even question, they don't even know where to start with the questioning. So I'm telling you, question it all and completely start from scratch. And forget about what other people think of you. Be yourself. And accept that. Tolerate that other people will be tripping on your, oh, the siren again. Other people will be tripping on you, leaping out of their fascist norms, but do it anyway, because that's the only way we can make the world a better place. If each person helps with this and questions things and starts to embrace his own or her own inner child and paint something on a cardboard box by Walmart or Amazon, you know, I don't even know whether these boxes are going to get recycled. So paint something on it, something fun, you know, get some acrylic paint. You can get acrylic decorating paint, you can get acrylic painter's paint, you know, for artists. They have some good ones on Amazon. I got some really good ones. Gloss also for painting. High gloss is often very pretty and many people like it. So I don't recommend glitter paint because glitter goes in the ocean. We want to avoid this. So, but any kind of color, you know, and just get started with it. Do it. Free yourselves. Don't worry about what someone else says, that your dad or your mom or your brothers and sisters or peer group or religious congregation or people on the internet and so on. Don't worry about it. Just do it. That's a start, you know. And then everything will fall into its place and you will become happier. You'll become much happier, you know. And you will start to cry, you know what? That's a release. That's a release of bottled up energy. That's a release of all that toxicity. Literally. This is metaphorically and literally. If you cry, tears will come up here and there, and it's a good thing. Trust me, it's a good. I've been blocking the microphone. It's a good thing when that happens. That's your path towards happiness. And don't worry about what someone else says. And men can cry too. Yes, yes, yes. It will be very healing for you. That doesn't make you less masculine. Okay. Very important, all of this, that people start to understand this, the overall healing process. We all have to help with this, or it's not going to get done. Everyone has to follow into the footsteps of truth, not of someone else. Truth. Follow into the footsteps of your inner child. Okay, come back to your inner child. Very, very important. So getting back to the Watts family, just as the example of this, the prototypical example of this, what's going on in so many households around the world. The women are not, the women are often trophy wives, and they're skinny, and or they have fake breasts, you know. It's such a superficial thing. And and they try to be perfect this perfect Barbie. Let me tell you something, that is not what the majority of men want. That's not what the majority of men find appealing to cuddle with. And I don't mean just sexually, but like cuddle, feeling comfortable with, you know, someone to lean on, someone squishy, you know, someone to hold in your arms, like this rubber monster, squishy, you know. We want squishiness, real squishiness, not silicone squishiness. You can get a silicone doll if you want to do that. We want a real living being. You don't put silicone into your dogs, so why do people put this into themselves? I don't have silicone. I would never put silicone into me. Okay, I'm against plastic surgery. My curs are all real, and I love them, and it's wonderful, and you need to embrace this. But instead, society is made to think that you're a loser if you are overweight. And was a tremendous hater in the chat room last night. The other people I've been talking to for several months, many of them that have known me now for several months, and I want to thank you guys for paying attention to what I have been saying. I I want to thank you, and I see that you have been paying attention from your reactions to me, and also from your reactions to this new guy that came into the chat room yesterday. This, I forgot his name, Jordan or something, Jordan Peterson, um, or I don't know what his name was, some kind of name like this, and their reactions to the people that have been paying attention to their reactions to him, saying, hey, leave her alone, she's just a human, you know, she never claimed to be a god. So this guy comes in and he hears me talking about veganism, and then I'm chubby, and I'm not supposed to be chubby because I am supposed to be a god or goddess, you know, supposed to be this perfect Barbie goddess or something. Then no, I'm a living being, and I love my chubbiness. This is my natural femininity. But society has been drilled now with real incredibly artificial and adverse beauty ideals. It's come to such a fakeness level that it is now about to collapse on its own, and you see it already. You see the first crumbs breaking off and falling off the side. You see this starting to break apart. This entire construction of haute couture, fashion model, iconic look. So it's coming crumbling down. That's not what men want. I've talked to many, many, many men. I've been in the porn industry in LA. I've talked to many, many real, open, honest, straight men, and what they want is, one guy said it straight out to me. He said, why do you, and at that time I still was under the pressure of that Hollywood society, also living so close to Hollywood and this entire scene there. So I felt I felt I felt very consciously aware about this, and I was about this pressure, I felt like I felt very self-conscious about my belly, and I felt embarrassed about all of this, even ashamed. So he said to me, "Why do you feel bad like this? Don't." He was making a video with me, and he said, "You are real girlfriend material, and you are what I want, and you are gorgeous and sexy just like this. Why do you want to be pressured from this kind of beauty ideal?" He said, "We men want women that are chubby, just like you, with the real natural curves and the realness, also the warmness, the maternity, and he said he does not want those skinny photo models. That is not what he wants. He thinks he finds it ugly, actually. But most men are so pressured by society that they think if they admit that publicly what they really want, then they would be regarded as low class or stupid. They are also ashamed to show themselves with a chubby woman because they're afraid to be labeled low class. That's how much society, with their neurotic fascist behavior, has infiltrated into our minds and into our personalities and into our fears. So this is so incredibly wrong. I want people to become aware about this. So we need to become not just self-conscious, not just self-consciously conscious, but we need to become really aware conscious about these things. Really look at it from above, not from merged, intertwined in this chaos, because then we can't see the facts for all the chaos. So we need to step aside if we can, and we do this in meditation, and then we can see the whole thing, this entire conundrum. We can see it from above. We can see where we are. We can see the reasoning. We can see the causalities. We can see the root causes of things. We can see movements stirring in there, and why, and who caused what. So let's all make this effort of becoming real, and liking what we really like, what our bodies really like. And some men are gay and they need to acknowledge this. That is what they really like, okay? And not play this facade game where your body and your heart and mind isn't even involved. Okay, so but do what you really like, what your inner child likes. Your inner child wants to paint something, then your adult brainwashed mind says, "No, I can't because I might not be perfect. It might be wrong." Art isn't wrong. A child doesn't think that way. An animal doesn't think that way. That's why Jonathan Mese always said, baby animals and children, we are we are not conditioned. So we do things out of a necessity, out of a playful joy. The squirrels, Paul, when he woke up today, this morning, he saw the squirrels play in the trees that are directly in front of our balcony, and they came onto the balcony, hopping around there and chasing each other. They're not thinking about, oh, what if my chasing game is wrong? Who judges on wrong and right? There's no wrong and right. As long as we are peaceful to each other and loving and supporting, and and as long as we don't hurt any living being, you know And real child play and real art, by the way, is peaceful and loving and supportive. Real art, you can't be wrong in real art. Modern art, you can put just a stripe on the canvas. If you love that, then it's wonderful. That's not a violent thing, okay? But there are people who paint violent things. It doesn't matter how accurate they are in their depictions or how pretty the colors are. If they paint something violent, that something that is extremely violent or that hurts someone else or that I don't know, caters to sadomaso or something, that that is not making the world a better place. No. So I'm not even going to mention those names that I was thinking about. There are some performance artists that have done atrocious things, and they sell it as art. That's not art. Okay. There's also a guy who demolishes pianos. He thinks this is somehow cool. Or something. No, it's not. This is not art. Sorry, I'm not on board with this. That is not art. Okay. Violence is not art. That is not art. So there's a person in between this, and that name is Francis Bacon, an artist from England, somewhere from the roaring 20s, 30s, and a homosexual artist from England, and he was also into SM sadomaso, and he was a very damaged person psychologically. And him being gay is good, and it would all be great. So that part is good. The sadomaso part, that is not good. Okay, that is destructive to himself, and it doesn't make the world a better place. He painted all of this on canvas, all this violence and the slaughtering and sort of like hybrid animal human carcasses hanging on the wall. And what I support in this is that he painted out his worries, and he needed to paint this, obviously. That was the only thing that made him survive. He needed to paint that out. It was very important for him. But the depictions are not making the world a better place. So that is violence, okay. But I still regard it as art. This is a margin type of situation in what I'm trying to explain. So I still regard it as art because he needed to paint all of this out. And there was a color aesthetic in it of lots of pink and peach shades. And there was a specific shape aesthetic as well. And it was important to him, all of this. So I understand it from that point of view very much. And he did not depict the fighting scenes and the rough sex scenes in the sadomaso, and he didn't depict that in a way to promote it. He depicted that more in a way to get it off his chest, to scream it out, basically. Those paintings are screams from a tormented mind, and also from childhood and all of this. So I don't put him into the same category as the guy that demolishes the pianos or the other person that do much worse things, which I don't even want to talk about right now. So there are people that are hurting other living beings, and they sell it as art. So that is not art. Okay, absolutely not. Francis Bacon, I'm still regarding him as art, even though there are violent depictions that don't make the world a better place, but it is a scream. They come in form of screams, and he found his own salvation in it in terms of color and shape aesthetics. So that's all I can say basically for my intuition about Francis Bacon. I love this man and I feel terribly sorry for him for what he's gone through. He has been thrown out of a window by his boyfriend, brutal relationships that he has had. Then the boyfriend was terribly jealous, even though they were a couple, and it's hard to understand, hard to wrap my mind around this kind of dynamic that is going on between two such battered minds. And then the boyfriend ended up committing suicide because he fell into the mazo, into the self-pity, into like completely psychotic maniac, and jealous of Francis, who was so successful, was who has become successful during his lifetime, and the boyfriend really jealous and feeling defeated, his ego feeling defeated, and all out of such childhood torment of shame and all kinds of things that then later on can lead to those kind of escalations. No, it's so unnecessary. But I